Good evening. The time is 6 o'clock, and I call this special, or this regular board meeting to order. If we can please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have anybody on open forum? If I can. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Before we begin, I will remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comment. The public comment portion of our meeting is available to members of the public who wish to address an agenda item to be considered by the board on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wants to speak during public comment must sign in prior to the start of the meeting and list agenda item or topic they want to discuss. Each public comment speaker will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes, which will be maintained by our legal counsel, to address the board for each designated agenda item. However, any public testimony speaker who requires a translator will receive up to 6 minutes to address the board. The public comment portion of the meeting will allow all speakers who have signed up before the start of the meeting to address the board regarding an item on tonight's agenda. Please keep your comments or criticisms civil and courteous. Please also avoid using profanity and refrain from making personal attacks on others during your opportunity to speak. Last, we ask that you do not discuss students who are not your own child. If a speaker is seeking board resolution of a specific complaint, that concern should be addressed through the district's grievance process. District policy DGBA has been established for addressing employee complaints. Policy FNG is the avenue for filing parent complaints, and policy GF addresses community member complaints. Grievance forms can be obtained at any campus administration office or in the central administration offices. Thank you. Our first speaker is Michelle E. Castillo to address DHR number 3, COVID-19 leave. Michelle Castillo, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Acting Superintendent Ms. Castaneda and community. My name is Michelle Castillo, and I am a life skills special ed teacher at Solis Middle School and also a Donna TSTA leader. I am here today to speak on a resolution for COVID leave for Donna ISD employees. With COVID cases increasing among our students, it is disheartening to hear on the evening news how hospitals are filling up with a greater percentage than ever of younger persons. There are more and more children being admitted. In the news, there are reports of deaths among teachers and students. This is a scary time for employees and parents. I know the district is doing all they can to encourage parents to have their children wear a mask at school. We are asking the school board to pass a resolution to grant employees 10 days for COVID. For COVID leave, and to consider making this leave retroactive to the beginning of the school year, as some employees have already suffered the loss of leave time due to being required to quarantine, due to outbreaks in the classrooms or job sites. We have lost many already in the past few weeks from the virus, and we need to help them or their family members in ensuring that at the end of the day, they will be able to take the leave without suffering personal leave, which can be needed for another situation. This is the least we should do for the educators working in these uncertain times and very high-risk environments. Thank you for the pay increase awarded to employees and the encouraging message to parents to send their students to school wearing a mask. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now be going into the superintendent's report, item number 1, district highlights. Ms. Castellera?
Good evening, Dr. Valdez and board members. I would like to begin our district highlights segment by thanking Don ISD's Director of Academic Support, Dr. Diana Villanueva, for being instrumental in bringing yoga to the district. As you know, the pandemic has had a tremendous impact on our students' emotional and mental well-being. Through yoga, students will be able to learn how to control and address their emotions. So thank you, Dr. Villanueva, for bringing this important initiative to Don ISD and incorporating it into our PE curriculum. This program, along with the work of our awesome counselors and social workers, we are able to help our students address their emotions in constructive and healthy ways. In this video, you'll hear more on the importance of yoga and what training our PE coaches underwent to prepare to teach this class.
We're super excited about implementing yoga. Not only is it a new skill that all of our PE students will be introduced to, but it also addresses on the social emotional learning of our students, and it also supports PBIS, which is positive behavioral interventions and supports. So right now the reality is that many of our students have a heightened level of anxiety, stress, and fear. And so we want to make sure that students know how to self-regulate those emotions in a way that'll be constructive and healthy for them. So we really want to teach our students that there's different ways of addressing those emotions without acting out, without becoming violent. So yoga introduces breathing techniques, for example, and that'll help our students learn ways that they can implement that skill, especially when they're going through very high levels of anxiety, whether it be in a reading class, in a math class, or maybe at home. The implementation of yoga will also help our students with posture and really expand in the physical activities that will be great for their overall health. We have partnered with UTRGV, so they were very excited to help us in this initiative. Our coaches were introduced to a lot of different yoga movements, and so at the end of the training, they felt very relaxed, very, very relaxed. They also received training on the actual component of the curriculum. They also received training in PBIS, so they play an integral part in supporting PBIS. I really haven't seen any other districts taking this initiative in this format. So we're very, very excited. Our PE coaches are super thrilled about doing this initiative that's really going to help our students.
Good. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Villanueva and Coach Rivera. They have been instrumental in bringing in this training for our coaches, and they've been doing a wonderful job. While yoga is just in its first weeks at Donna ISD, campuses are already seeing the benefits, particularly among students who have displayed signs of mental and emotional distress. We have another piece for you where you will see photos that were sent to us by some of our campuses showing students practicing and enjoying yoga. And while we're also hearing that students at Salinas STEAM campus are especially excited to practice yoga in their newly renovated gym. Work on the gym began at the end of this past school year and over the summer. In this next video, you'll see that the gym floor has been sanded down, repainted, varnished, and sealed. You'll also see that the Donna ISD logo and the Salinas Elementary STEAM campus logo have been beautifully painted on the walls. A big thank you goes out to our PE coach Arturo Handy and his assistant Sandra Saenz for their work with this particular part of the project, which included stenciling and painting the logos.
Wow, that looks phenomenal.
It looks great.
Beautiful.
A big thank you goes out to our business department for doing a wonderful job in getting this assistance to our campuses. So thank you all very much. And Salinas Elementary looks great, and we are very excited to have this renovated gym for them. And that concludes our district highlights.
Item number 2, presentation of students for Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader reading campaign. Ms. Castañeda.
All right, we have Mrs. Velma Rangel, if she would please join us.
Good evening, everyone. It seems like we just started this initiative not too long ago, but this is already the 13th annual reading campaign, recognizing students as campus role models and leaders, attributing reading as the major role in the development of their leadership skills. We proudly display their portraits in the boardroom and also at their campus during the school year, and we also present them with a framed photo to display at their own homes. We would like to thank the parents for supporting and encouraging their students to read. We were hoping to do this in person, but for now, we acknowledge the students through a PowerPoint presentation.
Madeline Ava Park is a senior at Donna High School who developed a passion for reading since kindergarten when her teacher, Mrs. Norma Perez, instilled the importance of reading. Since then, Madeline has checked out 861 books throughout her years in Donna ISD. Her favorite genre is realistic fiction, and she loves a good thriller. Madeline is a proud Bravette, passionately competing in multiple sports, and she participates in various academic organizations as well. Madeline will be graduating with an associate's degree from South Texas College this December, and she plans to pursue a career in anesthesiology.
Mr. Gloria says it is an honor to receive this award of library practice. He grew up in Edinburgh, Texas, and still lives there today. He lives with his parents and siblings, the oldest one being in college at this time. Throughout his life, he has always strived to be the best. To be someone a teacher can be proud of saying, hey, I taught Jaime when he was in the first grade. His inspiration for staying and pushing through the challenges of school is his dad. He's always taught him that if you're going to do something, he better do it to the best of his abilities. Jaime has taken his father's teachings with him everywhere he goes and has seen success because of him.
Jasmine Rivera from Donna Early College High School. Jasmine was selected because she's a reader of literature and her surroundings, constantly inquiring, making connections, and inspiring others with her love of reading.
3D Academy's Today Reader, Tomorrow Leader is 11th grade student Ania Lisette Garcia Garcia. Ania was chosen by her teachers due to her exceptional work within her classes and for being a model student. Her favorite book is Wonder by R.J. Palacio.
Evelyn Belmares is this year's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader at DM Salceda STEAM Academy. Last year, she earned all A honor in her classes and was our top reader, reading over 2 million words. We cannot wait to see her leadership skills as she embarks on a new journey this school year.
AP Solis Middle School Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader is Haley Ibarra. Haley is an excellent, motivated student. During her 7th grade year, she surpassed the 1 million word mark to read more than any other student at AP Solis Middle School. She has so much potential and she is a tremendously accomplished individual. We're thankful to have her here at AP Solis Middle School, the best middle school in Donna.
The Cherokee selected top and average reader, 7th grader, Kaylee Starr Howell. She was our top 6th grader last year, is in cheer and leadership. Congratulations, Kaylee.
Damian Tapia, an 8th grade student at Veterans Middle School, was selected as Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader for having read 595,745 words. He was a member of our virtual book club and is currently participating in our athletic program and taking 5 high school credit courses. Damian hopes to receive a license as an EKG technician during high school and eventually be an anesthesiologist.
Julian S. Adame Elementary is proud to recognize Zoe Isabella Garcia as the 2021-2022 Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader recipient. Zoe is a 1st grade student who is described as well-mannered, inquisitive, and articulate. She is a standout student who loves math and is a great role model. Last year, Zoe excelled in reading, exceeding the expected growth by leaps and bounds in both English and Spanish.
Alan Bernal is a 1st grade student at J.W. Castro's Discovery Academy. Alan ended kinder by finishing all of the 7 kinder guided reading level books and completed 13 out of the 17 1st grade guided reading level books. Congratulations, Alan, on being Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader.
Good evening, my name is Mari Partida, principal at P.F. Garza Elementary, and I'd like to introduce Adeline Magaña. She is an exceptional 1st grade student in Ms. Reyes' class. Her ability to communicate with others and her caring spirit are admirable. Adeline is a straight-A student and enjoys coming to school every day. When she grows up, she inspires to be a teacher and dreams of making the world a better place.
Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader for B.G. Guzman Elementary is Liam Esquivel. As a 1st grade student, Liam read 30,428 words with an average of 92. Liam enjoys traveling the world through books. His favorite book is Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. And just like Dr. Seuss, Liam is confident and smart and one day wishes to become a scientist.
It is an honor to introduce Axel Perez, our JP Lenoir Today a Reader, Tomorrow Leader student. Axel was chosen because of his love to read. On reading A through Z, he read a total of 50 books last school year. His love and passion for reading continue with the program Mayon, where he scored 1,800 minutes, being one of the highest of his grade level. Axel is intelligent, persistent, responsible, and he loves to learn new things.
It is my pleasure to introduce Bianca Cervantes Pineda. Bianca is an avid reader. She has shown over a year's gain in her reading assessments in both English and Spanish.
Amaris Gomez is a 2nd grade student at A.M. Ochoa Elementary. She is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Humberto Gomez and Mary Ortiz. Amaris received honor roll and was recognized as a top reader. Amaris reached her AR weekly and 6 weeks goal during the school year. She read and tested over 85 books with a 96 average.
Eleanor Snow Cantu is a 2nd grade student at T. Price Elementary. She is an all-A student reading at a 4th grade level and has read over 160,000 words. Eleanor enjoys reading Katie Wu series and wants to be a 3rd grade teacher when she grows up to teach students how to read.
Christopher Lopez Lomas is an excellent student and role model. Christopher's reading at a third grade reading level, his amplified score is 498 and his imagined math score is 365. This is why Christopher is today a reader, tomorrow a leader for Embriva School of the Arts.
Jonathan Montelongo was selected to represent Rudd Elementary as our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader, as he excelled above the rest of his classmates in the area of reading and showed leadership qualities that will lead him to great success. His parents are Rene Montelongo and Margarita Renteria.
Camila Garcia is the proud daughter of Daniel Garcia and Melissa Rojas. She's a dedicated little girl who believes reading will take her a long way. Even though her schooling in kindergarten had to be virtual, she consistently worked hard and read daily. Camila's love of reading showed success as she ended a virtual learning year at a second grade reading level. E.G. Salazar gladly and proudly presents their very own Today a Reader and Tomorrow a Leader, Miss Camila Garcia.
Diana Reyes Kovics is a first grade GT student at Captain D. Salinas Elementary who is reading at a second grade level. Her favorite book is The Cat in the Hat. Her teacher describes her as bubbly and hardworking with an infectious personality. Diana wants to be a nurse when she grows up so she can help people. Captain D. Salinas has proudly selected Diana Reyes Kovics as this year's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader.
Ian Sanchez is Singletary Elementary's Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader. His parents are Jasmine Moctezuma Huesca and Jose Sanchez Ordaz. Ian is a talented first grade student who loves to read daily for enjoyment and currently reads above second grade reading level. Ian's favorite books are Pete the Cat and the Five Little Pumpkins. He was successful during online learning and was called upon his teacher to assist his peers and mentor them. His caring nature and personality allow him to work well with others in a team setting. We are certain that Ian is going to continue to do great things in his future. When Ian grows up, he wants to be a doctor to help those who are in need.
Spanky Elementary is proud to name Ryan De Hoyos as our Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader. Ryan was chosen because he had the highest scores on the end of the year assessments in kindergarten. We would like to thank his parents, Librado and Rebecca De Hoyos, for their support.
Thank
That
you.
concludes our presentation for the Today a Reader, Tomorrow a Leader.
Thank you, Becky. Awesome job. That was wonderful seeing the kids being recognized today. Item number 3, LSG Monitoring Report, Goal 1, GPM 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, Superintendent Evaluation of Goal 1 and Next Steps, and Superintendent Constraint 1, CPM 1.1. Ms. Castañeda?
We have Mr. Rana, who will be presenting on this item. Mr. Rana?
Good evening, Dr. Valdez and respected board members and colleagues. This is my honor and my pleasure, along with me, Mr. Caliblin Watson. We are going to present the LSG Goal 1, the proficiencies of math. As you know, the board Goal 1 in third grade, which is measured by a star assessment at the end of the year, the goal is 35% to 45% by 2025, and then you will see each year we have the goal to reach to the 45%. In order to go to the third grade, 35 to 45%, we have a GPMs, which is the first GPM is the second grade, which the plan is going from 12% to 50% by 2025. GPM 1.2, first grade, is going from 11% to 55% in 4 years. And then the GPM, last GPM kindergartens, 10% to 60% by 2025. So these are our goal for LSG up to 2025. So these are the GPM by years. This year is at 2021. As you see, the third grade is at 35%, and then you see the GPM 1.1 is 12%, 11%, and 10%. And then next year, which is the year we are passing now, Our goal is third grade 37%, and increasing from 12 to 22, 11 to 22, and 10 to 23 from each GPM. And we are using the Imagine Math, the quintile score, which is at the MITS level. This is by the sub-POP. This is our third grade, moving from 35 to 45%. Each population is listed there. All students, Hispanic, ECODIS, and ELLs, and special education, and the goal, the respective year, from 2021 to 24-25 school year. So this is the data we have. We did not reach to our goal because of the pandemic. There are a lot of reasons, and the main reason is that math is very hands-on, face-to-face instruction type of learning, and we were not able to provide that instruction. Though teachers did a phenomenal job, they did the best job they could ever do. The goal is, as you see, the last fifth column, 2021 goal was 35%. Our star meets level, it's not the approaches, it's a meets or above, is a 5%, and then you see the respective population. Hispanic is 5%, and economically disadvantaged 5%, English language learner 4%, and special education 3%. So our goal is next year, like breaching a gap from 5% to going to 37%. And I'm glad that our students are in action, teachers are in action. We have a face-to-face instruction, though we still have some hurdles, but our students are mainly are face-to-face this year. And if you would like to look at the campus data, so there is a campus data by each campus, Adami Elementary, Casras, and so on and so forth, by subpopulation. All students Hispanic, ECODIS, English language learner, and special education. So they are all the campus are listed here. So this is a goal 1, which is a third grade, going from 35% was our goal. This is the GPM to reach to our LSD goal, which is the third grade, so second grade. Our goal was moving from 4% to 12%, and that this year our goal will be 22%, and then you see the rest of the population goal is all the sub-pop goal. We have some success in this area, as the goal was 12%, and we reached the goal in quarter 4, 12 to 12%, which is measured by Imagine Math at quintile report at MITS level. The same thing, Hispanic, ECODIS, we are 1 point behind. In English language learner, 1 point behind. At the special education, we were right on target. So this is our the GPM 1.1, and then this is the data. You can see this is a 1.1 by campus. This is a second grade 1.1. We have the campus district is 12.14%, and then you see the Adami Elementary 15, 17, and so forth. So there is a campus 18, Lenore Elementary 18, almost 19%, and so forth. So this is by campus, by sub-pop. Then we have the next 1.2, which is a first grade. Our goal was at 11%, and that this year, the year we are passing through, will be 22%, and these are the goal by sub-pop. So here we have some success, and then we have a lot of work to do. The goal was 11%. All students are 8%, and so forth. So we have some success, but we have a lot of work to do to reach to the 22%, from 11% to 22%, almost twice as much. If you would like to see the data by grade, so you see the first grade by all campus, by all sub-pop. Adami Elementary is 6.52%, and so forth. You see the Guzman Elementary is already 20.69%. So this is a data by campus, if you would like to go in more detail. The last but not least, 1.3 kindergarten. Our goal was going from 0% to 10% to 23% the year we are passing through. This is a goal by sub-POP, and we see the very close to our target, which is the 10% for all students, and we are at 9%, and so forth. So all the population about 10%, we are 999, and English language learner 7%, and special education 6%. So our goal is going more than twice by 2022 school year, 10 to 23%, and so on and so forth. And I'm super excited that our students are face to face. That will tremendously assist us to reach our goal. So this is by sub-POP, by campus from kindergarten. You see the district is 8.87%. Adame is already 14.55%. And we have a Castras Elementary, the data is missing from there. And you see the Price Elementary is already 15.25%. So this is our score by sub-POP and by campus. The next step is Mr. Watson. The next steps are we are going to continue. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Based on what I just saw previously, I think I made a good selection for my granddaughter. I bought her a book that had 20 stories from Pete the Cat. I noticed that Pete the Cat was one of the popular books. Mm-hmm. She's 11 months old. I expect her to be reading the next couple of months or so. No, just so the data that Mr. Ron has been sharing up there, you're going to see in a couple slides ahead after this, there was additional data we placed on here that hasn't been part of it previously. And before I go ahead and go through these various things, the next steps, which have already started a long time, the evidence here on the right-hand side, this last year I spent probably 3 days every month, full days, just writing emails, collecting data, contacting leaders, contacting teachers, because as Mr. Castillo used to state, it's got to be on a student-by-student basis. And I did that on a pre-K through second grade level district-wide. And if you look here at the bottom right-hand corner here, it's pre-K kinder first going all the way up to 8th grade, and it shows what the quantile growth was here in this green column based on grade level. And anything that's 100Q or higher, 100Q was considered a full year's worth of growth pre-COVID. Remember, these goals were set prior to us knowing that COVID was going to happen. And basically 75%, if not more, of our population was learning from home. We did a training yesterday, and one of the campus leaders was like, well, we appreciate all these Moogles and all this digital stuff, and it's amazing what kids are learning, but we're just trying to teach them how to hold a pencil and how to write right now. So again, the data in some cases is weak here, but we always have to reflect on where did this data come from? What sort of experience did we have at the time this data was happening? So going back to pre-K, this is the average growth of all of our students in that grade level, which was well over 100Q. It was 116. Kinder basically did a 2 full year grade level growth. The problem is that they weren't coming in at the start of kinder. They were coming in basically at the abilities of maybe a 2 or a 3-year-old. So 2 years worth of growth is great. Were we sending them ready for first grade right off the bat? No, but based on the data that was shared by Mr. Rana, previously, we had 0% of our kids at meets or master's levels, and that's when they were face-to-face pre-COVID. We went from 0% to 8% at meets and master's levels. So when we see single digits, we think of that as being really low, but they've never been that high ever before. Going to first grade, again, it was over a 2 years growth level as well too, 214Q. Second grade was 153, and then you see the big drop-off. Third grade was only 25. Why was there a big drop-off there? Well, because I didn't send any reports at all last year for any grade level above second, and it's built in here that that's one of the things we're going to focus on this year. It's going to take me a full week every month to send reports all the way from pre-K all the way through up 5th grade to every teacher, every campus, on every student, and follow up on that. And why do we need to follow up on stuff like that? Well, look at these accelerated learning committees now the state is asking us to do for, again, 3rd grade, 5th grade, and so on. Again, if I don't do it, again, Ms. Castañeda or whoever she represents is going to have to do it after 2 years, because 2 years of the lack of success. And again, somebody designated from the central office here is going to have to follow up on each and every single student. So we want to build this, and we want to build it early. So as far as math time, pre-K through second did phenomenal. In fact, they completed 168,000 lessons, which is more than the students combined from third grade on up. One thing that we've added for this year that we never had before, that you board approved on August the 10th, and we appreciate that you did it, it's called Imagine Math Facts. One thing I struggle with is that everything is called Imagine Math, but there's a whole bunch of Imagine Math programs. So the one thing that got added, and you'll see it in Friday's board update, the one that Mr. Rana sends out every Friday, kids utilizing their Chromebooks and their iPads and utilizing Imagine Math Facts. And it's gamified for them to go back to the basics. Instead of having those practice quizzes at the start of class for 2 to 3 to 5 minutes where they're trying to complete as many addition problems or multiplication problems as possible, they're doing it in a gamified program. And they get extra points for getting more of them right. They get extra points by answering it quickly. In fact, we already have some students that are considered to be at ninja level, which, again, they all want to be, and you'll see from the pictures that are put out on Friday. So again, there's some additional data here. I could talk all night, but I know you don't want me to. So let me go back to this superintendent's evaluation and next steps. So hyperlinked here are what we started off with the first time I presented last fall. And then this was in spring, and then these are the new things that we've added that we're going to build upon to make things even better this year. So again, Moogles, the Moogles are the things that our strategists have created that are digitized, where we put basically math and Google together, and kids are working with slides, they're working with drag and drops. Those are all new STAR 2.0 type terms, because there's going to be a bunch of different ways that STAR is going to be tested, and we're practicing with that all the way down into pre-K and kinder. Okay, every student this year was placed on their Texas grade level amplified review pathway. The reason that it's important that they're on this amplified review pathway is we know that we need to have that scaffolding. That's why we've hired tutors. That's why we're doing that accelerated instruction, because we have to build that foundation. They're not always going to be on the grade level TEK, and we have to focus on what TEK's below that to build to get them up to where they need to be. This is the program here, New Imagine Math Facts. We want that 2 to 3 times a week. That's the one you board approved on August the 10th. And that's going to be for math fluency and automaticity. Again, the faster kids can react, they're building up those pre-algebra skills. We want them to be as strong as they can be once they get up to algebra. The curriculum's been redesigned. Some of those Moodle samples are in here. They're hyperlinked here. There's third grade examples, kinder through second grade examples. You're welcome to look at those at your leisure. I don't want to spend extra time here right now, though. As mentioned, again, we're building those STAR 2.0 like sample questions. The trainings that we began in August 2021. Last year, all of our trainings last year were all virtual. They were self-paced courses. When people finished their courses, they filled out an evaluation form. It was time-stamped. It showed that they completed it. They got their CPE hours based on that. This year, we're doing a combination of both. We're doing live sessions and the self-paced virtual sessions combined. So they're going to get 1 hour live, 1 CPE hour, and then another hour virtual. So they're going to get 2 CPE hours every 6 weeks. And we did those in August as part of the digital rollout. I don't remember what the dates were, something like August 17th and 18th, I think they were. Yes? 17 and 18. And then we started on Monday, this last Monday, and again, this is all on the board update on Friday. We did Monday kinder after school. Today was first grade after school, and tomorrow will be second grade after school, and then all the other grade levels are next week. So that's for the second 6 weeks. We have the teachers, we have campus leaders, we have TAs in there learning in those sessions. They're going to continue to receive that documentation. As I said, with those additional grade levels, it is going to take me a week every month just to do that. But I think it's important, and I think the data shows that it's been beneficial. So that's basically what it talks about here in the bottom. Shared the evidence already. And so this last year, on the left-hand side here, we have the top teacher usage, pre-K through second, and then the top teacher usage grades 3 on up. One of these teachers happens to be at our early college too. He saw the benefit of it, and I know that Ms. Medrano and our secondary campus leaders are actually talking about it and excited. I'm glad to see that they're finally going to be utilizing this, because again, it can be used for TSI prep, ACT prep, SAT prep, we know how important CCMR is as well too. And then finally over here, the highest scoring kinder through second grade student, the highest third through fifth, the highest middle school, and the highest high school student, they all received fire tablets. So again, even when a student is performing the best on their campus, we don't want them to slow down thinking, okay, well, the second person is that far behind. We want them competing against the best of every student district-wide. And as I said, they each received a fire tablet at the end of last year, and the same will happen this year. Munoz has been awesome. They actually, this is their second time winning an Imagine Nation Beacon School. That's only awarded to the top 1.5% campuses in the nation. So that put them, I think, in the top 300 campuses out of something like 16,000 campuses nationwide. And as I said, I could talk your ear off, but I know you've got to get on to other things. So.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
No problem.
Ms. Castaneda, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rana. So at this time, we are recommending approval of our board goal.
I've got a question or slash comment, if I may, please. Mr. Rana, I know that the pretty detailed report, but again, one of the concerns that I have, and it's not just us, but because we're in Donna SD, I'm just going to speak for us. I'm sure you all are getting the data on a daily basis, the attendance, and I hope you are from your administration. And I hope that you all can review it, not just with you and your colleagues, but all the way down to the campus, to the classroom, to the grade level, to the student. What's pretty alarming right now that we know, but I want to ring that bell right now publicly, that we are at, right now, we're about 1,200 less. Actually, we're 90.8%, since you were talking percentages a while ago. So we're missing 9.2% from last year of the peak that we have. And my concern is there's two campuses, and I'm just going to say the two campuses. Everyone is low, but there's one elementary that has 146 less. Jumps out. I don't know if y'all have seen that.
Yes.
And if you have, I don't know what you're doing about it. Secondly, there's a middle school that has 170 less than last year, ADA. So everything we're talking about here, these kids belong to us. How are we going to solidify? And I know you're doing your job, but I think this is one of those cases where, you know, roll your sleeves up, everybody, and take your shoes off, or whatever the case may be, but let's get those kiddos in here because they're staying behind. I know we have about a week and a half for this first 6 weeks to be over, correct?
Yes.
So, and again, I want to be clear that worldwide, statewide, and so forth, everybody's having the same dilemma, but this is our district.
Yeah.
So, just seeing those two campuses, and no one campus has the same amount from last year, but these two just jump out. So it would be great for curriculum and all the other departments to jump, cross the lane and get into the lane to bring these kids in here. I know we've done in the past, we publicize it and so forth, walking the street and so forth. Well, we're beyond that. We've got to find out why are these kids not coming. Well, we know they're going to say COVID and so forth. Okay, so we're going to hit that barrier, but we got to just go right through it. So our kiddos that really belong to us are coming in to get instruction. And of course, I know that we've done tremendous jobs, and I do want to give kudos publicly to Ms. Castaneda and her team for these videos that are so pertinent to the day-to-day activities that's happening in our campuses. But again, the big concern that we have here is as we're moving along with the academic and so forth, I just can't stop and think that we're leaving 9.2% of our students behind. And I say behind only because they're probably at home. So there's so much detail that we have to go into when it comes to the attendance that the attendance department can't do it by themselves. So this is why I'm saying we have to cross over lanes and get into the ADA lane and let's get these kids up here.
Sure.
Okay, so that's just what I wanted to point out because all these kids need to be a part of this.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And my only, I guess my only question, and I'm going to use it again, because maybe I wasn't clear, that if I want to lose weight, I have to make sure that I adjust my diet, and I got to make sure that I increase my physical activity. We know that, because if I do both of those, then I'm going to lose weight. So applying that same principle to this report, if someone isn't monitoring that I'm following my proper diet, if someone isn't monitoring that I'm actually going out there and doing the physical activity, I'm never going to lose the weight because that's not being monitored. So it has to be monitored. So I guess my question is, that's what I think is still missing, Ms. Castañeda, from the report. I'm still not seeing, how is all this being monitored? Like, what is the role, I mean, how are PLCs being done to address this? How are the principals addressing this with the teachers? How often are they in the classrooms providing them feedback, supporting them, coaching? Our teachers need a lot of support. They need a lot of feedback. They need a lot of collaboration. And I know this report says that strategists are providing support. What kind of support? See, the action steps on how to lose weight or how it's being monitored, it's not reflective on the plan. And I think once we get that one monitored, I think we're gonna see a significant increase in our scores, and I'm still not seeing that. I mean, I'm sure once we probably move on to naming the superintendent, it'll probably free you up to go back to your role, but you can get that. That way, next time that we have the next board meeting, they can bring us a report on those parts that are missing.
Yes, ma'am. We
But
will
that's the only
certainly work
question.
on that.
That's the only thing I have.
Ms. Valdez, I think that's exactly, I mean, I certainly concur with you on that, but I think that just a report for us like that probably wouldn't be feasible, because for a regular board meeting, certainly would think that it would be a great workshop, those who can attend, because there's a lot of information there, like you said, campus, grade level, teacher, student in the classroom, and then you get into the special pops.
Right.
Then we really break it down, okay, and find out what is really happening, but I don't think, in my opinion, that a board meeting would be.
Well, I mean, yes, because I know
But
it
a
goes
good
really.
workshop to see what's going on.
Yeah, I think it does go really deep. I mean, the teachers are gonna have to go very deep with the principals, very deeply with the individual teachers, the individual students, with the parents. But we can get a report of what the principals are doing. Because if everything is being monitored, as long as we know what the principals are doing, that's being monitored, then I think that would fit very well in with our.
Yeah, Mr.
report.
Watson created the reports and sent to the by campus, by students, their usage and their performance every month. He sent the report to all the principal, and I see what you are saying, what's happening after that.
What are they doing? Once they get the report, what are they doing with it? How exactly are they making changes to support our teachers, to improve practices, to improve our scores? And only because I'm looking at, third grade has to go from 5% to 37%, correct? Second grade has to go from 12% to 22%. First grade from 8% to 22%, and kinder from 9 to 23. Those are huge, I guess, gaps, so it's gonna be very essential that we really zero down on the follow-through, the implementation and the actions, to be able to close some of the gap. But, that's it.
Yeah, if I may, to your point, to both of your points, I know we've talked a little bit about this, and it goes back to governance. You know, when we came out with and determined what our policy, not policies, but what we're gonna follow within the realm of governance, well, things have changed, and they're both leading to that. Dr. Valdez and Mr. Castillo, on that essence. So it goes back to maybe going back and defining those true measures, because, we're asking them to do certain tasks already beyond what we've already addressed. So we've already had priorities set, we had standards and goals set, but now we're asking to redefine those within those same parameters that we're asking them to do. So I guess there'll be a question now for Ms. For our governance coach to go back, and maybe those are things that we need to readdress, because now COVID has affected those items, regardless of what, we just mentioned that twice or three times, or Mr. Castillo mentioned it. And so, yes, it's a reality. Yes, it's something that it's got to be measurable and tangible. Well, we have to also be realistic. What does that mean when you're asking, the staff to come up with solutions based on a constrained environment? And that's what we have. We have a constrained environment. And so I think for us is to go back and maybe ask our coach, right, our governance coach, and find out how we can, minimize those gaps that we're talking about, especially when it comes to the percentages and numbers. I think those are important so that our staff can realistically redefine what we want. And a shop is good, I think a workshop is excellent, but it's a starting point. But I think it goes back to what is it that we want them to really focus on? Because now we're asking them separate things from what we had defined originally.
Yes, and I think Dr. Marcia was supposed to do a board workshop today, and I think one of the items that we were gonna review is adjusting the goals, because they're a little bit, or they're very unrealistic. I mean, how can you go from a 5 all the way to 37%? So we know we're gonna have to adjust those, and she was supposed to do a board workshop today, but apparently she wasn't able to, but you're right, Colonel, those goals have to be.
And they're tangible, you know, we got to make sure
They're gonna
that
have to be
they're
readjusted.
something that these guys can meet. Because we're, you know, we're putting a lot of things on the table from various locations, whether it's me or someone else, you know, here on the board. Well, you know, all of us got to come to an agreement. What is it, what direction do we want our district to go to, especially when it defines them? So I think it's what we need to do as a group.
Any other questions? Okay. If we can now vote to accept or reject the report. Mr. Castillo, how do you vote?
Accept.
Mr. Colonel?
Accept.
Mr. David?
Accept.
Mr. Valdez?
Accept.
Mrs. Watts? Mr. Dana?
Accept.
And I also accept. Moving on down to consent agenda. Board members, if there isn't any questions on anything on the consent agenda, we received it on a timely basis.
I have a question on number 10.
Okay.
Does this mean that Donna High School now is up to par with Donna North as far as equipment?
Okay, number 10 under business or academics?
Oh, sorry, yeah, under A.
Oh, under A, number 10.
Are they now up to par with each other, or now Donna High way ahead of them?
We are certainly working at bringing them up to that level. Yes, sir.
And Donna North too?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. De Los Rios. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Watts. Mr. Castillo, how do you vote?
Vote in favor.
Mr. Colonel?
In favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. Motion carries. Moving on down to governance, conservator monthly report for July. Mrs. Romero, you have the floor.
In July was a very important month for administration. So when you came back to your regular board meeting on July 27th, the supplemental duty agreement with the acting superintendent was terminated at that meeting. And during his short time as the acting superintendent, the HR assistant superintendent and the Mariposa principal dealt with the Mariposa 90-plus staff members communications to the staff and to undo the Mariposa process and revise the contracts, because those had all been issued to Mariposa staffing. Check in on, and what they did was also check on the certifications of the staffing and work on their assignments for interviews for district vacancies. And that was during his short time as acting superintendent. And one thing that I've noticed, that your board meeting agenda items are being added after the 6th day, which is going against your board policy BE logo. They're being added on Friday, and usually every month that happens, that there's an item added at the very last minute. Okay, that was under the governance section. Then under the special accreditation, am I skipping up? Under the special accreditation, we have in July, the assistant superintendent was acting as the assistant superintendent for HR was acting superintendent, and the department did not have a director, so there was actually a shortage of 2 people in the department as HR, which most of this ties to the Weaver report on the special accreditation, and the director was hired back on July the 27th to assist with the department functions. The HR functions are being addressed during this high volume of hiring that is taking place on the district. And I'm referring to your ESSER positions. There has been a lot of hiring. There's been like 90-some positions hired for your teaching assistants, teacher assistants for first grade and second grade, that's taking place. And then also the displacing of the Mariposa staff that also took place, plus other hiring that is happening. So there's been quite a high volume in that area. And I would say that they are handling the situation, but to the best of their ability with the limited staff that they had, because they really had 2 key positions that were not there during the month of July. Under the financial, and in July, the district hired your assistant superintendent for business and finance, and that was the last time that your consultant assisted the district with the staff with the 21-22 budget process. The budget was basically done at that point, and in August, the staff would just have to present at the public hearing. Also in August, you received from TEA a superior rating for the 2021 School First, which is a very great accomplishment. You got a perfect score on that. And under your academics, the district target improvement campuses submitted their 3rd progress reports to TEA. Overall, the TIP submissions were found to be proficient and met expectations based on the TEA rubric. And TEA recommendations were for the leadership team to do a thorough analysis of the STAR student data. Adjustments encouraged for the summer planning steps were to consider the desired annual outcomes and desired 90-day outcomes, and the outcomes being measurable and time-bound. They actually sent back quite a bit of paperwork for each of the campuses and go over it and explain all of that process that they'd like to see for the next time around. Under the conservators' directives, I had in there I had given the directive on the chief of operations that position could not come back for approval until the assistant superintendent for business and finance was hired to review the job description, see that it was adequate, determine if the position was necessary, and then to go forward with it. And I did have to halt it at the last board meeting because it wasn't sufficient time for your business person to review. But so far, he says he needs the position, and I believe it's up for discussion at executive later on today. So that is coming forward. And then your Power School, the human resources application software was approved in August. That was one of the items that was also pending in here because of the nepotism that hopefully that will help the district with the tracking of nepotism in the district. Any questions?
No, actually, I'd like to, Dr. Sorolla, I'd like to maybe ask him, because I know on some of the reports that directly affect human resources, I think I had a conversation with him where he felt a lot of these, because it's saying slightly off track, but he was responding that I think it was like 95% on track. So
and I have that noted. I mean, it is slightly off track, but I do have it noted on the top, under the very top where it says 90% or so. But I did meet with him, and I didn't bring the memo that they gave me. There are a few things that still need to take place. There's no way that he's going to have everything done with the amount of employment that this district is going through right now. And there's been a lot of employment. And remember, the Mariposa, technically y'all hired for that in late March and April, and it was done away with by July the 19th. Right. And then that had to be undone.
So like, for example, if something on your report says on track, that's 100%.
Well, I wouldn't, it's on track, that means that they're following through and doing it, but this, if you'll notice, on the other columns, it says ongoing, ongoing. That means that it's something that keeps ongoing, it's sort of like board meetings. They're on track because you have them every month, and they're ongoing because you have them every month.
I guess maybe, or I don't know what the expectations of the rest of the board members are, but I want to see everything on track. I don't want to see anything slightly off track. If it's slightly off track to me, and that's why I had reached out to Dr. Sorolla back then, but he was telling me that a lot of this that is slightly off track, he had it at, I think you said 95%. So I was just concerned why it was still reflecting slightly off track.
I can give you an instance where something is slightly off track. I had mentioned professional development on nepotism. And that was touched on, but not really addressed. There was no staff development done.
But like, for example, ensure that all required teacher certificates are currently valid. That's been, I mean, that one is, what percent of that is completed, Dr. Sorolla?
The system is established, and I would say that we're pretty close to 100%. It is an ongoing process because we have conflict turnover.
Right.
But I would say we're pretty close to being 100%.
And since when do you feel that that's been 100%? Since what date, would you say? Because this report, I think, is for the month of August, correct?
No, this is
ending?
for July. And
July.
remember when I told you that it had gone in, it had, I said, well, I already submitted July, but it didn't really change either for August because I did get a listing of everything that's pending. And for your certifications and so forth, they've instituted something differently, that they're not going to have them on the file. They're going to have them available, like when an auditor comes over to check on it. They have them on the system. I won't be able to see them on file.
So what you're saying is that these will never be on track, ever?
Well, no, not necessarily. They can get on track. I just need to pick and choose a few and select them. I will tell you, when I visited, the evaluations were not there.
Were all
And not because they haven't been done. They've been done, but they've requested them, and they're in the process of getting filed.
So this is, you're talking about, then you're not necessarily talking about like.
No, this is just within 2 weeks ago that I went.
That all performance appraisals are done on a timely basis. It doesn't say here that they have to be filed.
Well, no,
Like you're
but
saying.
normally they're filed in their personnel file.
Were all appraisals done, sir, for last year?
Yes, ma'am.
100%?
Yes, ma'am. The issue was on some of those, they hadn't been filed away. They were in the process of being filed.
Filed away?
They weren't filed in the employee record quite yet. And so that was the issue that she noted, was that some of them were not filed away quite yet. But we had collected all of them. Yes, ma'am.
But that's not what this says. It says, it says institute a tracking procedure to ensure that all performance appraisals are done on a timely basis. It doesn't say filing. It says done. They were done. So see, that's why I dispute some of the language that's on the reports, because they were done. It's the filing that's not done, and that's not what this says. Does that make sense to you, Dr. Soto?
Yes, ma'am. And I will say this, Dr. Valdez, since the last 6 months, I know we've been looking at this for at least 6-7 months and paying very close attention to it. It has been our commitment to make sure we address these items.
No,
I will tell you, there were a couple of months there because of the closing of the district for the summertime.
Right.
Maybe there wasn't the follow-up with Ms. Romero's.
Right.
We are committed to getting everything here on track.
No, and I know,
We'll
sir.
do it, we'll do it.
No, and I know in my conversations with you, you alluded that some of them were at 95%. That's why I was like a little bit, well, why is it still showing slightly off track? I guess maybe Ms. Romero's, to avoid any more confusion, I think maybe when you do the reports, I mean, to me, it would help me, like, for example, if you say off track, to maybe put 95% of it is on track.
I can't change this. This is an Excel document. I mean, I can do it on the very top. If you look at the beginning of the report where it says compliance with 90% of recommendations, it's up here on the very top of the
No, no, no,
report.
I see that.
can do it there. I cannot do it individually because the system doesn't lend itself. It's a template.
Well, it's a template that needs to be fixed because I think it's sending wrong information to TEA. That's, I mean, I'm sorry, I like facts, I like evidence, I like statistics, I like evidence to support what's in these reports that's being submitted to TEA. I mean, I'm very strongly about that, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but if I see slightly off track, I'd like to see, hey, it's 90% on track, slightly off track because
I
of
can
this
put it on
reason.
the comments over here.
Yeah,
Where it
on the
says
comments.
next steps, I can put it there on the next steps.
That'll be perfect, I think that'll resolve.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I can address it there, but August already went in.
No,
so-
no, I know.
So it won't be until this month.
So then I have a question for you. You think you can also correct on that software? I know that you brought up the last month before. I know legal advised you that there was issues with the contract. They didn't have anything to do with HR. That was a contract issue. So it's not so much that it fell back on the district, it fell with the company.
Are you talking about the software?
Yeah, on the software. that's where you actually-
Yeah, but it's HR that was looking for the software.
Yes, but then there was an issue with the contract.
No, there was never an issue with the contract. It just got awarded on August the 10th, I believe.
Was that it, Ms. Romero? Were you
Yes,
through? Any
that is.
questions? Anybody? No? Okay, at this time, we're gonna go ahead, thank you, Ms. Romero. We're
Yes.
gonna, the time is 7:06, we're gonna move into executive session as authorized by Texas Government Code Sections 551, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, and 084. And I believe the audience will be.
Yes.
The time is 8:09, and we are back in open session to take possible action on matters discussed in executive session. Item A, discussion and possible action to approve superintendent's recommendation of personnel, approval of recommendation for professionals to include hiring and termination recommendations. Do I have a motion? Okay, moved by David, second by Ms. Watts. Mr. Castillo?
In favor.
Mr.
In favor.
Colonel? Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor, motion carries. Yes. Yes, correct. Okay, and Ms. Castañeda, if you want to make the recommendation for B?
Yes, ma'am. Administration recommends Mrs. Stephanie Paulson Garza for the Executive Director for Curriculum.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Castillo?
In favor.
Mr. Colonel?
In favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor, motion carries. Ms. Castañeda, item C?
Yes, ma'am. Administration recommends Mr. Jose Javier Villanueva for the position of Executive Director for Data Evaluation and Performance Outcomes.
Make the motion to approve.
Have a motion by Mr. De Los Rios, second by Ms. Watts. Mr. Castillo?
In favor.
Mr. Colonel?
Favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor, motion carries. Item D, Ms. Castañeda?
Yes, ma'am. Administration recommends Mr. Javier Garza for Chief of Operations.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Watts, second by Mr. De Los Rios. Mr. Castillo?
In favor.
Mr. Colonel?
In favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor, motion carries. E, discussion and possible action regarding C 347419F Donna SD versus Chanskanska et al. Do I have a move to authorize us attorney to take action as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Watts, second by David?
Colonel.
Or Colonel? Colonel?
It was Colonel.
Mr. Castillo?
In favor.
Mr. De Los Rios?
Favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor, motion carries. Discussion and possible action on naming of a lone finalist for superintendent of schools position.
I move to select Angela Dominguez as the lone finalist for the position of superintendent of schools.
Second.
Second by Ms. Watts. Mr. Castillo?
In favor?
Mr. Colonel?
Favor.
Mr. Valdez?
In favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. Motion carries. Discussion and possible action to approve pending or contemplating litigation, settlement matters, and/or matters where the professional duty under state board requires private consultation with a school attorney. Do I have a motion to authorize attorney to take action as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by David, second by Mrs. Watts. Mr. Castillo?
In favor?
Mr. Colonel?
In favor.
Mr. Valdez?
Favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, it's moved by motion by Ms. Watts, second by Mr. De Los Rios. Mr. Castillo?
In favor?
Colonel?
In favor.
Mr. Valdez?
Favor.
Mr. Reyna?
In favor.
And I also vote in favor. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.